I was working during the day, but I decided to do something extra.
Evaluating his talents, Peter realized he could teach computer programming, a field that was drawing a great deal of interest at the time.
I went to my father and I asked him whether he knew anybody who has a school. So he introduced me to his friend who had a music school. And so I rented one classroom and a small office from him. And I advertised, and I got 10 students. It was a 6-month course, and I was teaching 2 nights a week, Mondays and Wednesdays. And students came 4 hours a night.
After 3 months, Peter expanded his courses to 4 nights a week, adding 10 more students to his roster.
Meanwhile, our company that I used to work for during the day was going through some tough times. So I went to my boss and I asked them to lay me off, and instead of laying other people off.
Peter now had his own business. Never again would he be someone else's employee.
Started with 1 classroom and I rented 4 classrooms. I hired a couple teachers and just grew and grew.
Peter expanded the school, opening several new locations. His rapidly growing bank account attracted the attention of the owner of the bank, who invited him to become a partner. Peter invested in the bank and became a director. It was the beginning of his business diversification.
We imported the sunglasses to Japan, and then I got into auto safety engineering. And also I got into development business, real estate, commercial, and also home building.
When we return, Dr. Peter Chung engages in the business battle of his life.
At the end of the day, I kind of lost the battle. That's what happened. And so my asset basically dwindled down to 5% of what I used to have.
Dr. Peter Chung began his own business with a computer programming trade school. He soon expanded with a chain of trade schools, private schools, and several other diversified businesses.
I had 14 different businesses. At the time, I was at the top.
The beginning was fine. Everything was good. You know, he always say, "Oh, I'm so blessed. I'm so thankful God."
You know, I had a lot of friends who were in politics, and also I had a lot of friends with a lot of wealth. I used to go to work in a limo. You know, I used to go to Washington on private jet and things like that.
Stephanie was not impressed.
I don't care how much money she has, but my concern is I want to spend the time together as a family.
In the beginning, I always thank God for all the blessings that I received.
I told my husband, I'm afraid. His attitude is changing a little bit.
People start coming to me and telling me how smart I am and how successful I am and so on, and I think it got to my head.
Dr. Chung's business continued to grow. In fact, the growth of his private schools eventually created problems.
We were running into some political pressure from public institutions because our budget was getting very, very big. And a lot of our students were getting financial aid from government also. And so there was a little bit of a friction between public schools and us.
When the situation began to draw heavy political pressure, Dr. Chung's attitude began to work against him.
I was fighting against it, and I thought I could take them on, take the government on by myself. At the end of the day, I kind of lost the battle. That's what happened. And so my asset basically dwindled down to 5% of what I used to have.
Out of Dr. Chung's 14 businesses, only a storage company remained.
Obviously, I'm sure there are some poor decisions that I made because I wanted to do it myself instead of seeking wisdom from the above. But then overall, I think I felt that I had a lot more power than I really have. I was depending more on my wealth than God. And so it really humiliated me in a way.
Embroiled in numerous lawsuits and wishing to ease the pressure on himself and his family, Dr. Chung decided to leave Los Angeles. He moved his family to Seattle, Washington.
It's a real time of reflection. And I said to God, why me, first of all? I mean, why do I go through this? Because I kind of got lonely when I had a big business that's going. I had a lot of people following me. I had nobody following me, except the lawyers.
For 3 years, Dr. Chung traveled, read the Bible, reflected on his life, and most importantly, became reacquainted with his family.
So that was a good time too. I enjoyed spending time with my kids.
We spend a lot of time together with my kids and with us. So that was really good time for me, even though he has a very, very hard time.
Dr. Chung had no specific plans, but on a trip to Vancouver, Canada, he recognized an opportunity in a newspaper headline.
The headline there that time was talking about how high unemployment rate was in BC.
Making the decision to train people for employment, Dr. Chung purchased a school.
It was a small private school that had a contract with the government. So they had what they call a project-based training. So they would get the grants from government to train students.
Starting from scratch, but this time with a wealth of experience, Dr. Chung gradually acquired more schools, rebuilding his business and his wealth into the Eminata Group.
The Eminata Group is made up of a career college division, which is campuses here in British Columbia, Vancouver Career Colleges, and then a couple of campuses in Alberta. We have the PCU College of Holistic Medicine. There's Worldwide Language Institute, and we have a campus downtown Vancouver. Star Education Center, which is just a new venture that's starting to grow, and it's kind of a tutoring company to help students in kindergarten through right through high school. But we have probably anywhere from 70 to 90 full-time employees at any one time, and then we have a base of close to 200 faculty or instructors, probably about 60 to 100 actually actively teaching at any one time.
The annual revenue on our Eminata Group is about $50 million per year.
Peter does have other interests outside of Eminata that he watches.
I still have the storage business, and also I have some real estate business in Thailand, and also we got something in Korea.
This time around, Dr. Chung has not lost sight of his priorities.
Right now he's very busy, but he's trying very hard to spend the time together.
As for Stephanie, along with raising 5 children, she has successfully pursued her music career, working and playing with some of the finest musicians in the world. Stephanie is also a key player in an international music camp and festival that helps prepare young musicians for their professional careers.
I'm a director, and also I'm a coordinator. Even moving piano, I do everything.
Most important to her, Stephanie founded and leads a support group for mothers of mentally handicapped children. The group evolved from a newspaper interview in which she mentioned that her oldest son is autistic. After it was printed, Stephanie began receiving calls from other mothers.
So we got together, 6 of them got together. We started from meeting once a month. And then now we're meeting every week. Because this is so special.
Today, Peter Chung has both a successful business and a successful family. And his faith plays a key role in both.
Peter is the very core of his being, the very core of his organization, and those are very close to one being, close to the other, is centered in his faith.
He feels very strongly about people, especially loyalty is very important to him, and people that show that loyalty, he really feels for and will protect them and help them.
The advice that I like to give to young people is that if they like to be successful, first of all, they need to figure out why they want to be successful. They need to understand the purpose. And if you're just out there just for the sake of making money, I could assure you that you're not going to be happy, because money doesn't bring you happiness. You got to understand what happiness is first. And once you figure that out, and I think you should search your soul and find out why you want to go to that direction. You have to make sure that whatever you do, you have to be honest to yourself, and you have to work hard, and you have to have a lot of perseverance, and you have to have a good work ethic.
I think Peter is successful because he's very, very hard work.
He's been gifted with leadership and a good sense of business, and he's also been gifted with generosity.
And also he does many things together. So I think this is a special gift from God.
I think Peter's successful because he's willing to adapt, to make changes where necessary.
I think part of it, the reason that he's successful is because God has allowed him to be successful. I think, and Peter knows that. He knows that if he gets too far away from God's will, that he'll fall, as we all will.
He's a businessman, but he's a businessman for a purpose. His business is there to glorify God.
First of all, I think God has a purpose for me to be successful. Secondly, I'm very focused on what I do. A lot of times people say, well, you need to work smart, that you don't have to work as hard or as long. And I do agree with that, but I still tell them, if you work smart and put in longer hours, you'll produce more. Produce more, that will lead to success.
Thank you for watching, and make sure you join us next time for Secrets of Success. For more information regarding this program, please visit our website at www.secretsofsuccess.com.